The only thing I would say respectfully is I never trust the people who are like, we're your new government. Because that never ends up well, usually.
Yeah.
We need a new government, people. Yeah, we're it. Uh-oh.
It's in my vision of it, I think the only way to get it done is, a 5 to 10 year period of fascism.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pulling the Trigger. Today's guest is a really spicy one and sure to piss off people on both wings. But before we get to that, as we know what to do, like, share, give it a subscribe if you can. Send it to a family member, send it to a foe, send it to Audrey in accounting. Tell someone at the water cooler. Tell someone in the lunchroom. The more heat an episode or a podcast like this gets, the more the algorithms jack it up for people to come and angrily comment. Engagement is what it's all about. Take a moment now. As always, if you like what I do enough to give me money or anything like that, you can go to show more. Click in the episode description. All my stuff is there. PayPal, Subscribestar, which is an Patreon alternative that supports free speech. Merchandise is there. My website. All these kinds of things. Show more in the episode description. That way I don't have to keep on saying a whole bunch of stuff. Also, if you subscribe to PayPal or Subscribestar, you get a free piece of merch immediately upon subscribing, minus shipping. So just go on, do that. Go look in the episode description. Boom. And I think that's the fastest I've ever gotten that shit out of the way. I like it. Vancouver, going to be I'm not going to say what you think I'm going to say. Vancouver, I'm going to be there this weekend, May 8th, doing a super secret comedy show. Get at me if you'd like to come to it. mark@markhughescomedy.com, and I'll give you the address. Look, what's going on? No, they're leaving. I was going to show you the ferrets, but they're escaping. What are you guys doing? Nope, they're underneath. Now they're by the door. Okay, no, it'll fuck the flow of this up too much to bother with this right now. If you're wondering what a super secret speakeasy comedy show might look like, here's a sample. Jake's not laughing at the gay shit. All right, back to race.
I did laugh.
Back to race.
I laughed at that. It was rhetorical. I've heard it.
No, it's okay. No. I just Jake's the most interactive audience / comedian, and I'm always gauging like, am I gonna get beat up after the show or not? No, dude, trust me. I learned this in prison. Keep the black guys laughing, and you get out alive. No, just kidding. I was in BC. There weren't any black people. Thank God. So there you have it. mark@markhughescomedy.com if you'd like me in a living room near you. Anyone who's tuning in for the first time and just wants to go right to the episode, the interview, the guest, skip ahead right now. This is the get to know my fans and connect with them portion. Bill C-10, the provision that the Liberals removed, that where there was an exemption on monitoring and general public members' posts. They took that away. So as I said in the last episode, what they did was there was a provision in there under Bill C-10 where they would not be monitoring or filtering private citizens' posts. Apparently, they're going to put it back in. There's a big amount of backlash. Yay, everyone. Even CBC, the government-funded media outlet, took them to task on that one. But like I read about in a editorial by Rex Murphy in the National Post, we have to be cautious of the motivation behind that. Because that wasn't just some dumb idea that someone came up with, some intern came up with and a minister didn't read it late at night. I get the most charitable impression I get of our current government is they're like a bunch of professional managerial class cunts, like liberal upper middle class people, very typical of comedy, particularly Vancouver comedy, who don't care about anyone who's not in their little clique, even if that little clique is the one that pays their bills. Something I notice about Canada is the entire country seems to be run. Anyone in charge of anything seems to be that group. Comedy, government, media. They don't care about their customers. They care about impressing their friends. And I think Justin Trudeau may have been like, hey, China, look, we can do it too. Will you let us in your little gang? So for now, censorship online is only partially there. But you know what? Fuck it. Let's just get to the guest, because you're probably waiting for that one. He's a spicy man. He's done a lot of interesting things. You may remember him from armed standoff in Saskatchewan, spray painting the cenotaph in Toronto a few years ago. He's done a few things. Comics will be hate watching this. Hi, comics hate watching. Hello, fuck you. Hi, thanks for increasing my algorithms. Thank you. I look forward to being banned from your shows. Hi. So without further ado, Thomas Zog. Audio recording.
So you're gonna have to like link them up after.
Yeah. The program I use actually has an automatic.
Oh, so you don't have to do that.
No, it does it automatically. Now, once in a while, if something's wrong with the audio, sometimes like it'll be recorded on a device that has a shitty microphone, or if you edit it, like let's say you do some post audio editing,
right?
Sometimes the program can't detect the similarity.
Where it clips.
Yeah. My guess is that it does it based on frequency. It's been programmed to detect, like it matches where the waves.
Right.
That's my amateur understand makes about.
I mean, it's logical.
Yeah. Because I don't think it's smart enough to detect words and stuff like that.
No,
that's pretty.
That would be pretty intense.
Yeah, but I mean,
just because the audio file is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, here we are, man. Once again.
Okay.
I've been telling everyone like you were my first video guest.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I don't remember exactly when it was. It was early 2019, I think.
Yeah. Because I was working on my my trial, the constitutional challenge to Brian's Law that didn't go as I was hoping it would. But live and learn.
And a few things have happened since then as well, eh?
I think I've been arrested 3 times.
Right. Were you ever arrested before then?
Yeah, I've been arrested before. I've been like mental health arrested on like 13 different occasions. Right. And so I had 2 criminal arrests since the last time, and 1 mental health arrest. So, just racking them up, the cenotaph, which, it was good that, got a day in court about that finally. And
did you ever get sentenced and all that shit for that? Or
so I got a conditional discharge.
So no record.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah. No, it was a good negotiated settlement, and
You know the thing I respected about what you did, the paint you used was easy to wash off.
Yeah. It was construction.
You weren't
paint
because you weren't, from what I understand, you weren't trying to permanently damage it.
No.
Right. Yeah.
No. Because, graffiti's pretty easy to remove. And I just kind of felt like the comment was worth making. And
what was the comment? What'd you say again?
Ye broke faith with us.
Right.
Just kind of a statement how it seems like the country isn't really in keeping with, the freedoms that we're supposed to have. It doesn't kind of seem like they exist anymore.
Right. For people who are watching if you're comfortable, do you want to just tell them what you did? It's just to jog their memory.
So if you remember...
Zog their memory?
Jesus.
The jokes are starting. Holy
Terrible.
shit. Watch out, Joe Rogan.
So if you remember when Don Cherry got fired, there was some asshole that spray painted the war memorial outside Old City Hall. And it's funny because I think the majority of the people that got angry about that didn't even know what a cenotaph was. Like,
I saw that. A lot of people are like, what's a cenotaph? Yeah.
It was their first introduction to what a cenotaph
So
was.
you're educational as well, right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
And I ended up making friends with a lot of active duty and like military veterans of the Canadian Forces. And it's then how I ended up getting involved with the Plaid Army, which was like a kind of a fun pseudo militia kind of group that so that was an interesting experience. That's how I ended up meeting all those guys, and had a falling out with them since, but that's all right.
Thomas, you having a falling out with the group of people that have we'll go down the list of the groups and communities you've had.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely been a lot.
Yeah. So then you got a community or conditional discharge for that. And,
yeah.
So your message again? What when you spray painted it on the thing? What were you trying to say, basically?
That the country is not the country that historically Canadians fought for.
Right.
That to have kind of the mental straitjacketing that we see in our society, and kind of moving towards this weird communist style social credit system, it's not in keeping with what Canada is supposed to be.
The criticism I saw actually coming from not the lefties, oddly enough, more the right wing. Let's not even say right wing. More people, patriots. Let's call them patriots. They said, "Why did you have to do it on why did you have to disrespect veterans and soldiers and stuff?
Yeah.
Why did you choose that thing to do it on?"
Well, it was deliberately provocative, and it's supposed to be attention grabbing as a piece of art, because I guess graffiti is kind of art.
Only if you're black.
Yes, only
that
if
was
you're
your
black.
mistake. First mistake,
Terrible.
not being black.
Wrong skin tone.
Yeah.
But
No, you're the right one. Don't worry. Don't let them get to you. See what happens? The communism's infecting a good old boy's fucking head. Anyway.
Just kind of it's not how the country's supposed to be, and I think they tell us that soldiers fight for freedom, and do we have freedom left in this country to even be fighting for? I don't think we do.
What's interesting? I talked to I know a lot of Afghanistan vets, right? Yeah, I was telling my friend the other day, half of the ones I know didn't see any combat, no action. They were never deployed. Or if they were deployed, it was in places that didn't really have anything going on, right? Yeah. The other half had really bad experiences there.
Yeah.
It's right down the middle of the ones I know, like really bad experience. Almost none of them were really jazzed on that deployment. On the war, they're like they couldn't. It's the comments I hear a lot are very similar to what you hear from Vietnam vets. They didn't know what they were doing there.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like legit.
No.
Yeah,
and that's kind of a big complaint that a lot of the veterans that I've spoken with have as well about the Afghan mission, and what were we doing there? I mean, it seems like 9/11. I don't think that I'm one of those kind of crazy conspiracy theorists that believes Israel did that.
Right.
And people say, "Oh, that's anti-Semitic," and it's like, well, but it's also kind of true. Like it's this weird thing where we've deployed military force to the Middle Eastern region, and who does that really benefit other than Israel and its plan of trying to expand its borders greatly?
One could even make the argument, just because you say it's Israel doesn't mean you're talking about Jewish people. You're talking about a country. Right?
Well, that's how I would view it.
Yeah.
But
just like when we criticize China, it doesn't mean we're saying, "Hey, you chink." Well, I am. But you know what I mean, though, is criticizing China is not criticizing Chinese people. We're talking about a body. Right?
Well, and it's very interesting how there's this whole right now that whole stop Asian hate kind of thing that's getting floated around, and it's like, was there Asian hate? Is there like a big thing of Asian hate? I think people
I can
are
tell
being
you
critical of China, but
down in the States there was some Asian hate crimes. Notice how they leave the ethnicity of the offender out most of the time, though.
Right.
Just like the trans murders, they leave the ethnicity of the murder of the guy of the people killing them out a lot. Blacks, because there's historically, I'm not even saying anything that's radical or new. It's just historically down in the States, there's been an animosity between Asians and black community for a variety of reasons that we're not here to talk about that. But
the Asians own the stores and the black people rob them. No,
right?
I got it. Yeah.
You know, it's the circle of life.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't speak to that. But in Canada, okay, I'm from Vancouver. There's always an underlying, because there's been Chinese in Canada, in Vancouver since before Canada was a country, pretty much, give or take, right? So because they helped build the railroad, and there was a Chinatown, a very big Chinatown. It's always had one. If you live in Vancouver and you're from Vancouver, like from Vancouver, there's just this sort of unconscious racism towards Chinese people there. Like if you go into a store, if you're a true-blooded Vancouverite, and it's run by a Chinese person, guaranteed you have a few thoughts. Like, what kind of crooked thing are they running here? It's just, and I'm not even going to defend my racism for once. But it's just sort of, it's how Vancouver is.
Okay, but what kind of crooked thing are they running there? Like, come on.
Often, to be fair, nothing.
Yeah.
They're just business people. Right. Sometimes it's money laundering. And to be fair, it's not just Chinese people who do that.
No.
Right? Sometimes it's just the crooked thing is, let's say it's a restaurant, subpar ingredients, maybe expired.
Right.
Right? Shit like that. But sometimes like the Chinese food's delicious and it's great. So
I mean, the expired Chinese food is always more delicious, I find.
It's got an odor. It's not an odor, it's got a gamey taste.
Yeah, no, you know, it's like you should pay extra for that, really. It's a premium.
But so I in all seriousness, in Vancouver, there's always been a bit of Asian hate, but it's that casual kind that no one's attacking them. It's
I just thought everyone in Vancouver was Asian. Like that's
a lot.
Yeah,
I think they saved more than 50%.
Yeah, it's like a big number.
My friend told me once that he knew a guy who came from Hong Kong. Who, when the guy got off the plane in Vancouver from Hong Kong, he said, "I couldn't tell I'd left Hong Kong."
That's funny.
Yeah. Serious too. And I know tons of like woke SJW liberal types who will come to Vancouver and they'll be like, there's a lot of Chinese here. Holy shit. I'm like, excuse me? Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's true. That so many times they'll be like, holy shit. And black people, whenever they talk about, like if I'll, out and about in Toronto and, I'll meet black people. And they'll be like, I'm from Vancouver. Like, holy shit, you're from Vancouver. I love Vancouver. Fuck, there's a lot of Chinese there, though, eh? Sounds rich coming from you there. Darius.
Yeah, I heard something on the CBC recently about how black Vancouverites are like, there's a big heyday or something because Jimi Hendrix's grandma was like one of the first black people to live in Vancouver.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to live in Vancouver very briefly.
Right.
Well, Burnaby.
Close. What's that?
Basically the same.
Burnaby's a suburb of Vancouver, for anyone who doesn't know. Yeah.
It was nice. The SkyTrain was nice. I like the SkyTrain.
When was that? Do you remember?
That would have been 2012.
Right.
Early 2012.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Before I found myself in Edmonton.
Right. You're from Alberta, though, originally, though, right?
Well, we lived in Calgary and Mississauga growing up.
Oh,
So-
that's how you always end up finding yourself back here. Because
Yeah.
it is home.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, yeah.
You're not like me, an immigrant.
No, yeah. I'm born in Ontario, but like when I was 2 weeks old, we moved to Calgary.
Right.
Then moved back to Mississauga and then back to Calgary. And,
What was that all about?
my dad, he was a oil executive for Petro-Canada. So, he was in charge of the lubricants division and their office for that was based in Mississauga. So,
Right. And the actual headquarters is based in Calgary for oil companies usually, isn't it?
Yeah. But the lubricants division
Is it a lot of stuff in Mississauga.
Yeah, there's Mississauga is a city that's done well as far as attracting a lot of corporate citizens.
Right. I remember when I was a kid growing up, on commercials and boxes of cereal and boxes of this, the address for the company was always Mississauga or Don Mills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's It's good times. Good times. Yeah.
Yeah. So here, then there was the cenotaph caper,
Right.
and then since then you had another caper.
Well,
That one was caught on film too.
yeah, I ended up doing probably what is supposedly the longest live stream in the history of live streams.
Oh, really, eh?
I did like a 40-hour marathon live stream. And it's kind of funny because like my co-host for that was this autistic guy from Saskatchewan named Peter Crane. And we committed like early on in the thing that we were just going to read all of the comments. And we had just had like this falling out with the Plaid Army people, which was a clusterfuck as far as like online shit shows and falling outs go. But we were we were reading every single comment that somebody posted live. And so it came to this point where somebody wouldn't catch on right away to the shtick that we were doing. And a new person would come and start just saying a bunch of belligerent and hateful shit. And they would get mad that we weren't responding to them in real time.
Right.
And it would take them, like maybe 10 or 20 minutes to figure out we're talking to what they were writing half an hour ago.
Yeah, because there's a delay, right? Yeah.
Because when you're reading all those,
It takes a while to get to them, and
plus to take the time to react with it and
Oh,
interact.
because you're commenting on it too. That's the gag. Okay, yeah. I like it. I like that actually.
Yeah. So this person that we're reading whatever it was that they wrote, and they're just like blowing up, and so
Because
now-
you won't respond.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm responding to the first thing that they wrote.
Right.
And so then it just becomes this whole, it just demonstrates that the person isn't really thinking or anything. But mind you, I mean, after 40 hours, like we weren't really thinking either, I was up for a long time, and they really just wanted our stream to stop, the marathon stream. And so they started telling the police that we were going to be going on a mass shooting, and so that was a whole fuck show. And because I had bought a house in small town Saskatchewan, and there was like an 8-hour standoff where basically the police wanted to throw me in a mental institution, and I was just like, fuck off, leave me alone, I'm doing my internet performance stuff. Right. Like it's none of your business, I'm not hurting anyone, leave me alone. And, when you tell the cops that they're a bunch of Nazis and communists, they don't generally react too well to that.
Now, Thomas, they can't be both.
Well,
you were a bit and not to be pedantic, but
no, it's true.
You got to pick one.
Well, I think they're more communists than Nazis, but when you say communist, it doesn't have the same emotional charge as Nazi does, right? So. But the point is, they're like authoritarian thugs, and I didn't want to deal with them. And so there's this 8-hour standoff, and then the SWAT team ended up coming in, and they like deployed a dog who did a number on my arm, and that was groovy.
No weapon.
No weapon.
Right.
No. I didn't
Did someone
have any
say
weapon.
you had a weapon? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
No.
Somebody said I had a weapon, and it was funny because my mom was like, "Man, they could have killed you." It's like, like,
and you had no weapon. It's just because someone said you had a weapon.
Yeah, and they said I was going to go on a mass shooting.
Right.
And so they, once I was detained by the SWAT team, I thought I was going to, get brought to a detective and, do an interrogation and then maybe go to remand for a few days or something. But they brought me to the psychiatric facility.
Right.
And so I was locked in there for 2 weeks, and then they put me on something called a community treatment order, where they can forcibly inject the drugs that they want you to take into your body. And so I ended up getting put on this community treatment order, and I did a little bit of digging into the laws. And, it was... Like, I found that if I left the province of Saskatchewan, I wouldn't be under the community treatment order anymore. And it's interesting because, like, in the town that I live in, right, it's like 270 people. And so, like, an 8-hour standoff with the police is like hi, I'm new to the neighborhood.
Right.
And I ended up making friends with a whole bunch of the people in this small town after that. And I was getting surveilled, and at first I was like, oh, I'm just, imagining this shit that, there's a van parked outside my house keeping an eye on me. And the thing is, if they deployed a team of like 6 or 7 vehicles to keep an eye on me in this small town. And the people in the small town, they started noticing these 6 or 7 vehicles that are around, and they're like, the guy that owns the garage, I was in there for coffee one day, and he sat me down. He's like, Thomas, like, are you in some kind of trouble or something? Because there's all these vehicles. They've been in town for 2 weeks, and has anybody talked to you about this? And I was like, no, I'm glad I'm not imagining this, though. Like, I'm glad other people are seeing it. And so when I left, because I didn't want to keep getting injected with this drug that was like very soul crushing, I was arrested for a YouTube video that I made about Justin Bork back in September. So
before the SWAT incident.
Yeah. But I was arrested by the RCMP's Integrated National Security Enforcement Team.
Right.
So like they're not looking out for Chinese spies or anything. They're arresting like a wonky no one comedian for like YouTube videos.
What's the allegation?
That I threatened the police and that I threatened a judge.
Right. The name of the guy again?
Justin Bork.
Who is he again? Forgive my ignorance.
He killed 4 RCMP officers in New Brunswick. I think it was back in 2014.
Right.
And basically in the statements that he made after he was being interrogated, he talked about how the police force was becoming more militant and how they had basically chosen the wrong side.
Right.
And so my video was kind of about how, he could have had a defense as far as like a lawful rebellion kind of style action. But, and I was also talking about how these measures of the lockdown are unconstitutional.
Which a lot of people would agree with you on.
Yeah. And what my argument was that, if police keep on enforcing unconstitutional law, at some point there's going to be a natural comeuppance, know, and like people are going to fight for their rights. And so, did I threaten anyone? Was I doing warning? Was I too spicy of video content? Because I am looking at 14 years for this one. But I still think that the points that I make in this video are valid. They're criticisms of the justice system because I'm saying, like if Starbucks is open and Tim Hortons is open, but the court's closed, like, are you by default admitting that the justice system is not an essential service?
Right.
But
I guess their argument might be, well, we can do it on Zoom or something, right?
I'm not a fan of Zoom courtroom. Do you mind if I
No,
smoke?
go ahead. Yeah, but it's just a weed.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm a fag, and I got a contact high at an illegal comedy show we were doing the other day, and I don't like. Yeah. There's certain illegalities I'm okay with, but
No, the contact high, I get that.
Yeah, it's just I don't like it, man. I can't think properly. Yeah.
Sometimes, like, when I get high, I wish I didn't get high.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's maybe a sign of being, like, a bit of a pot addict.
Yeah. You can become addicted to marijuana. Don't let the hippies say you can't.
I would say that's kind of where I'm at. I would say I probably have a pot addiction. Like, I definitely
most comedians I know do.
Yeah.
And it's not just me going, oh, you smoke pot, so you must be addicted. It's more like, I like smoking pot. Right when I wake up, then an hour later, then I have another hour, and it's all day throughout the entire day. It's like there is no waking moment where they're not intoxicated on some cannabinoid, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy fuck, man. That sounds like what I used to do when I was on heroin.
That's kind of how I do my weed,
Yeah.
It's probably a little much, but just, I don't know. I work full time now. And so it's when I'm not working, it's just like, oh, I don't know, I guess I'll smoke pot, you know?
Right.
Like it just kind of becomes something to do.
Yeah, man. Don't need to justify it to me, just to Jesus.
Drugs are bad, children's.
Yes. So you got an outstanding charge.
Yep.
For. How did they even find out about a video like that? I don't imagine you have 100,000 subscribers.
They just started digging into me.
Oh.
I think after
Gotcha.
this whole live stream, and it's crazy because like at the bail hearing, which was done in the interrogation room because of Zoom, I was accused of being a domestic terrorist in the making, and
Right.
you know, I just think that it's a weird place that we're at where the paranoia that people have about me is used to deny me just like basic standing to have like a discussion about anything. Like another example of a time I've been incarcerated in the mental health system for a YouTube video is I made like when I was starting out as a comic and doing YouTube videos, it's a learning curve, you know, and I made a video talking about, you remember, I think it was Mike Ward.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
It's almost that case has almost come to its completion, eh?
It's
They're
going to the
deliberating.
Supreme Court
It's in the
now.
Supreme Court.
Yeah.
The arguments have been made. They'll be rendering a decision literally any day. So
We'll see how that
yeah,
goes.
I don't have faith.
The Supreme Court's done some pretty good stuff
Oh, okay.
recently, so
I'm open
I'm
to
a
have
little
it.
more optimistic.
Are you? Okay.
Just based off of some things that I've seen.
Okay.
But I got locked in Cam H for 10 days for making a YouTube video to other comics saying, you know, like, you know, we're the canaries in the coal mine for free speech. And, you know, when you see comics getting brought before judges, you know, you got to know that. Anyways, it wasn't a great video.
Yeah.
But
You brandished a knife in it. Isn't that what the problem was?
yeah, I did do that. But if you go to Dimitri's comedy show, I mean, he's brandishing a knife at the whole.
I'm holding a knife to his throat, and
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
that.
That was fun.
You know.
He wanted me to reenact my home invasion.
I mean, what's
So
wrong with a little knife play? I mean, comedy.
consensual.
You know, I thought it was safe, but you know, apparently not. So that became a whole thing. People tried to say I was threatening people. I didn't threaten anyone. You know, I was just saying I used it as a prop.
Right.
You know,
That was your biggest crime.
Yeah.
Prop comedy.
prop comedy is probably not allowed.
Yeah, and then that was your first video. Fucking incarceration.
Yeah.
The thing I notice about your notoriety in comedy is a lot of these woke faggot comedians, they're all about defund the police and marginalize this and all that. But you know, one of the ones that, okay, I'm not going to, I know schizophrenia is a label that has been affixed to you, and I'm not even going to say, I'm not going to say you have schizophrenia because I know it's something you don't want that label, and that's fine. Let's just say for the sake of argument you do, though.
Right.
You think they'd be a bit more, okay, even if we could go so far as to say the knife thing is a bit, maybe, hey, Thomas, maybe you shouldn't be like doing things where people can't really interpret. There's no compassion for you at all, if assuming you do have schizophrenia. That's the thing I don't get. That's where it really, their whole ideology, their professed ideology falls apart with that. Like, to put it bluntly, if I was just going to play the devil's advocate, you're fucking crazy. Who cares? You know what I mean? Okay, maybe I don't want you coming to my house, but like, he's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, what's the... So, but they're like, no, he's
dangerous.
yeah, he's
crazy.
dangerous, and I don't think you are. And they retcon the stories and all this kind of stuff too, right? Like they'll say, oh, he brought a knife to a show.
Well, I mean, I had a knife on my belt.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. Like when the pandemic first happened, I was scared shitless.
Right.
And I went and lived in a forest for 5 months.
Right.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
Like I'm one of those people that I didn't even bring a tent.
Right.
You know, like I made a lean-to, I started gardening.
Lean-to. I haven't heard
fires.
that word in a long time. Lean-to.
No, you know,
You're bringing
like-
it back.
Bringing it all back. Bringing it all back. The oldest ways. But, you know, so for me to walk around with a hunting knife on your belt, like I don't, I don't know. I used to live in Edmonton. That's not a big deal there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, okay, I did a show at the 120 Diner where I had a fucking hunting knife on my belt,
Right.
openly displayed. Like, is that? I don't understand. Like, what's to be afraid
Well,
of?
they say that you brandished it.
But I didn't.
Right. Yeah. So
know?
that's the thing, and that comics do that, especially. I've known a few guys who've been in not identical but similar situation where criminal charges have been attempted to be laid or criminal allegations, and the comics often band together and lie.
Yeah.
Too. I'll even go so far as to say I'll be just this generous. They might not even conspire to lie, because comics have no spine. They'll kind of go along with whoever is the most popular's narrative. That's who they'll go along with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No. That's.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the blind leading the blind a lot with
Right.
that shit.
Yeah.
You have people just being like, "Oh yeah, no, I heard he's like." I got booked to do the Tinder Tale show
Right.
once, and some comics said, "Oh, I feel unsafe around him," and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh fuck, that was the only show I ever got booked for.
Yeah, I have people in Vancouver more. It doesn't happen many other places. Who knows after all this shit though? Especially after like, share, subscribe. Yeah, there'll probably be some spicy reactions, which is great. But in Vancouver, like, I'll have comics go complain to Booker saying I won't do the show if he's on it, kind of thing. Even headliners will be like, yeah, I want him off the show and stuff like that. What's interesting in Vancouver is I'm not the biggest hot shit comic, but I actually have a bit of a draw in Vancouver. Like, I can sell tickets, not every day, like a few times a year, but I can sell tickets.
It's something.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. That's how much the ideology has and it's not even so much ideology. That's a thing that people. I want to dispel a myth about comedy. Is people go, oh, it's identity politics. No, it's not. It's this high school status shit. Is all it is, right? And so even bookers in Canada succumb to not wanting to run afoul of the cool kid, the mean girls.
Yeah.
And girls are all lots of boys too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well,
You've been around comedy a long time. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've been banned from Edmonton. You know, like Edmonton was a place where I had a joke that had the punchline "faggot" in it. You know, I was talking about ice cream truck driving, and I was accused of being homophobic. Yeah. So I started dating dudes. You know, and that became like, no, I can say the word "faggot."
Yeah,
you know, I'm gay.
Yeah,
for this. Yeah. And it became a whole issue where I wasn't gay, but you know, what are you gonna do? They start censoring words. You know, you gotta.
You and I are similar that way. From 15 to about 20, I thought I was gay, because an older guy, I was dating an older man. It was a abusive thing he did, was exploiting me. Got me, like, first time I ever stuck a needle in my arm, it was him doing it, kind of stuff. Okay, so regardless, and he introduced me to the prostate gland. I would have never known about that. I just didn't like that it was a penis tickling it. Right. That was the part that was always a bit weird. Yeah. And, you know, cocaine and heroin, I would have never. And some people go, oh, that's tragic. I said, but I had a good few years because of that, right?
We had a good few years because of them.
He was, what it was more so than anything is people, you know, you hear people describe why they joined gangs, sense of belonging, family, community that they never had. That's what he kind of did for me. Right. So, and the sex part was sort of I felt it was an exchange. Yeah. Right. I didn't like this. I never did like the sex part. That was the part that was always a bit gross. But I was like, he loves me, I guess. So
the feeling of belonging, you know,
and being wanted.
Yeah, being
wanted was the thing. Yeah. But anyway,
it's just this is why women are letting us down, is what we're saying, ladies.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the incel portion of our anti-Semitism, anti-Asian. What I was going to say though is I lived as a gay for 5 years. Sucked a lot of dick, took a lot of dick in the ass. Didn't even like it. I've earned the right to say faggot.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
this mouth earned the right. It ingested a lot to be able to expel one word.
I feel like if you've crossed the threshold of at least one dick, you know, like, you deserve to say the word faggot, regardless of where you're at.
Dick more crossed my threshold. Right. Entered my threshold.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a threshold being crossed. Yeah. So you should be able to say it, you know.
Well, It's more like at this point in my life, I just say whatever I want. I don't care anymore. You know?
Oh wow, that's envious. That's an envious position to be in.
Are you seem like a man who's
I mean,
similar?
I am sometimes,
Right?
But now I have to be careful.
You're watched too, though, right? So you got to be careful. I wonder if they're going to take this down or I'm going to get some kind of knock at my door or something like that. I don't care, but it's.
Well,
no, because they probably know where you live.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, they have to because you're on bail, right?
Yeah. A friend of mine wrote a song about me, and the RCMP actually wanted to talk to him.
Right. Just because he wrote a song about you?
Yeah.
RCMP, just if you're watching this is. You don't need to talk to me. It's all on tape. You can just watch it.
It's all here. No, but it's the secret discussions, the planning to overthrow the government with hockey sticks. That's the...
With hockey sticks.
Yeah, no, that's the danger, right? You have a bunch of hockey sticks and maybe no referees and a few high sticking calls,
That's the thing, man. The way shit's going is, especially in Canada, with the way the government has done things, is they're starting to. I can see what they're doing. This is probably something you've already noticed. Is they've made it easier to label people or identify people as terrorists.
Yeah,
that's how they're going to start. Because Canadians kind of really latch on to labels. Have you noticed? Like racist, homophobic. We're really bad for just going, oh, someone said it. It must be true. And then it's a socially acceptable excuse to dehumanize someone.
Yeah.
Terrorist is going to be one of them, especially if it has anything to do with right-leaning.
Well, I think it's crazy that the Proud Boys got declared a domestic terrorist organization. Right. Like when I saw that, I was like, oh.
Even the FBI said they weren't.
Yeah. When I saw that Canada said the Proud Boys was terrorists, I was like, oh, well, that explains the level of
You mean
scrutiny.
all 7 of them in Canada? Like it's they've never even maintained a very large presence here.
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I always...
Has anything, a Proud Boy incident ever even happened in
there
Canada?
was something in Hamilton, but I knew the guy that was doing that.
Right.
And for me, why I stayed away from the Proud Boys is I thought they were too soft.
Okay.
Like, I thought that was too soft. And that was kind of why I had the falling out with Plaid Army too, like I was like, well, I think we need to start like marching on like downtown centers and kind of not just saying we want our freedom back. It's like, okay, we have a new system of government. We're now the government.
Right.
Like that's.
Yeah, I can see why you might get in a bit of trouble for that one.
I mean, it's a spicy take,
yeah.
But the way I look at it is like Canadians are never very good at doing their homework,
right?
And for the level of problem that we have, we basically need a whole new system of government,
right?
So,
I think a lot of people would agree with you on that, though. Your tactics, maybe not, but I think they'd agree with your overall message.
Yeah. It's just how do you get the old government to stand down while you introduce the new system of government?
The only thing is, and I don't disagree, we need a new government bad. The only thing I would say respectfully is I never trust the people who are like, we're your new government. Because that never ends up well, usually.
Yeah.
We need a new government, people. Yeah, we're it. Uh-oh.
It's in my vision of it, I think the only way to get it done is a 5 to 10 year period of fascism.
Right.
And that's, not a popular word to say, but like one of the main planks of how I foresee this kind of new government coming into fruition is currently we have a constitutional monarchy.
Right.
And I would argue the main reason why the United States has lost touch with its founding Republican principles is because they didn't have an emperor.
Right.
Like you need, like from the perspective of a mechanic, a monarch is like a fuse in a control board. And the reason why you have a fuse is so you have a limiting switch when there's too much power going into the control board. It snaps.
Right. And that's what they say the role of the monarch has always been is like a balancing kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we need that.
Right.
And so, I have a few Native American friends that live in the Western prairies, and, I think it'd be great if you have 2 of them do rock, paper, scissors in front of the whole country, and it's like whoever wins best 2 out of 3, that's the emperor.
Or chief.
Well, just it's like a monarch kind of position. And then, that's what the source of power for the government is. Now all the military and police, they all take an oath to the emperor, and all the citizens are supposed to have equal rights with the emperor, which is kind of how
Equal to the emperor.
Yeah. So the emperor is like
It's the state embodied, is the people embodied is essentially what it means, right?
Yeah. Essentially. Yeah. And so, that's my vision of how to do it. And, you have gun rights and maybe 2 years military service. And
Where's the death camps? Or are there no death camps?
The closest I come to death camps in my visioning of things is like camps for Chinese people. That's just because of the CCP.
Right.
But I also want there to be like a vouch system. So it's like if if a Canadian person knows like Ming Hua from like down the road, known them for like 20 years or whatever, they want to vouch. Okay, you can vouch for that person and they're out of the camp.
Right. Right.
But I also think like, you have it where it's very humane. There's internet access, and it's just like, they're free to either go to the camp or go back to China.
Right. Oh, so it's not that they're held there. They can leave the country if
you want to leave the country and go back to China, that's fine.
Right.
But if you're in a position where the state can't work out if you're a member of the Communist Party,
right,
or if you're just a regular Chinese person that doesn't want to,
Right.
I'm not saying that that's an ideal system either.
Right.
But it's just like the level of Chinese infiltration that we have right now. It's a huge national security risk, and nobody in our government seems to be taking it seriously.
Well, because they're bought is the problem. They're already
by
paid.
the Chinese.
Yeah, they're and they say the Americans are now too.
Yeah.
They say
Beijing, Biden.
Yeah. They because some people go like, oh no, the States is the last place that's free. It's like, I don't know, man. It's
no. I do a lot of work organizing with American nationalist groups, and because I think it's important to kind of maintain those kind of diplomatic relations, and America's poverty problem is why they're going to fall. And I think China's whole design is to try and instigate a civil war in the United States within the next 3 to 4 years, build up a heavy UN presence in Canada, and as the civil war in America winds down, march in UN troops, and then
UN,
yeah, and then we all live under a new global communist dictatorship
headed by the Chinese.
Yeah. I that's what I see there.
You're not the only person I've ever heard that from either. So it's sorry. I know you want to be the OG, but there's a lot of people saying that though.
No, but
credible, not even just guys on YouTube. It's like there's credible people are saying that.
But that's what the Chinese are aiming to do, and it's how else do you fight that?
Remember when the George Floyd killing happened last year? A lot of people say the reason that one got so much attention is because the Chinese were fucking with the algorithms on Twitter.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
because but again, these big cases, they are pole mics that are used to kind of move and advance the main agenda of the CCP. So
what's interesting is that the CCP doesn't care about identity politics, but they're smart enough to know they can use it over here to divide people, right? Well, because they don't give a shit about gays or. And when I say they don't give a shit, not in the tolerant way, like they don't like, they are racist, they are homophobic, they are misogynistic, but they will use it. Like my buddy was telling me that Mao used to be in correspondence with a lot of the leftist organizations in the 60s saying, yeah, I support you.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, right?
Yeah, no, that's actually a big tool of the communists, like the whole social justice warrior ideology. It's designed to make people hate each other and cause people to fight when they have
divide and conquer.
Yeah. So obviously it's a tool of the Chinese.
And it would only work in the West.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't work. It's not part of their culture to think like that, right? So,
well, in the West we have radical individualism, and I think unfortunately our society has already been collectivized to a large degree. So that's why we're either going to have communism or fascism. And
you're not the first person I've heard that from too. It's going to go one of two ways, right? And most people are leaning, unfortunately, towards the communism way because it just seems like it's
for now.
Yeah.
But I think explaining to people what fascism is takes time.
Yeah.
Because it's a word that carries such negative stigma.
Yeah.
But eventually, like the fascist symbol is a bunch of sticks bundled together. Do you know how easy it would be for a graphic designer to take a bunch of hockey sticks, bundle them together? Boom. That's Canadian fascism.
Yeah.
And people would show up for that. They'd be like, oh, yeah, it's hockey sticks, bud.
Yeah. Fascism is a bundle of sticks together, so it's a fag.
It is.
That's a fag.
We should call it faggotry in English.
Now, what are the negative things about fascism that people might misunderstand?
Well, I would say the fascists of like the 1940s, 1930s, they had
Mussolini, the
Hitler.
OG fascist.
The National Socialists with Hitler, but they believed a lot in eugenics. And to me, I think eugenics is a non-starter. The idea that there are people that have superior genes, and then there's people that have genes that are Untermensch, that are not, I don't swing with that level of ideology. I think that's maybe something that the fascists got wrong. I think when the human species cares for its weaker members through medicine and long-term medicine, that develops medicine, right? Whereas in the National Socialist state and in fascist states, if you were unhealthy and they couldn't treat you, well, they would just euthanize you.
Right.
I don't think that's, I don't think that's good. I think when you have like a full totalitarianism, where it's not being done for the purpose of building up the country or overseeing infrastructure development, and it's just totalitarianism, it's like, that's not good, But that's why I think in order to do the type of changes that I think Canada needs, we should have an aircraft carrier for each one of the oceans that we're on. I think, just maybe a few subs, maybe a fighting force greater than 5,000 guys. Like, I feel like, these are things that Canada needs. And in order to implement those things, you have to have a period of fascism in order to do it. It's just whether you call it fascism or some other name depends on the people. And, I think with fascism, you have, if somebody has a really good idea for, say, designing an aircraft carrier that's like off a catamaran or a trimaran or something where you'd have much more takeoff and landing space, that's the type of innovation that somebody could bring up in a fascist society and, design all of the blueprints and say, well, this is what I designed. I think this is the best plan. And then the best plan would be like, oh, well, that's the best thing. Build it,
How's that different than capitalism?
It's not.
Or democracy, I should say.
It's not.
Right.
Like, fascism is, I would say, the purest form of direct democracy.
Right.
And even Mussolini said that as well.
Right.
If you read the Doctrine of Fascism, which, people don't read what the losers write.
Okay, here's an argument that I can make, though. Like, you hear this shit from communists, sorry, not to be derogatory, this stuff from communists where they go, no, but that wasn't real communism. Because now it sounds like that's what you're saying. One could interpret it where it's like you're saying, but that wasn't real fascism. My fascism would be different.
Well, I would say theirs was real fascism.
Okay.
But there's no reason why fascism as an idea can't be reformed.
Right.
I think if you had a non-racist kind of fascism, if you had a fascism that was based off of, we're all going to be really good Canadians.
Right.
I think that's better.
But where's the fun in taking the racial part out of it?
I just don't think it's tenable in Canada.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know much about. You're teaching me a lot about fascism. Watch, someone's going to chop this up and be like, look, two fascists talking, and one of them was sold on the idea. Me personally, I want out of Canada. I just want to leave.
I mean, I tried that.
Did you? Where'd you go?
I went to the Russian embassy because I had a job working for a Russian bank.
Right.
I applied for political asylum and ended up getting thrown in a Quebec psychiatric institution for a month.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, that was fun. And then I went to the U.S. border, tried to apply for political asylum, got turned back. Too bad.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, it's better to get more people to band together and try and make Canada like not a shithole banana republic.
Right.
I think we could do that.
Yeah. Well, God bless you, because I'm done. I can't do it here, and because I my thing is mainly I want to do stand up, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, I'm not patient enough anymore to wait around for your new vision to take place, and then you go, Mark, you're the minister of stand up. I believe in you, but I don't have to pay. I've put in too much time. I'd rather just go to a different country.
Yeah.
Just give me some. If you do start a regime, can you just give me some bullshit patronage appointment where it's like I don't actually have to work, show up 3 times a year, and I get $100,000.
Like a cultural minister.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. No, it's doable.
Make appearances with celebrities and dignitaries, and that's really all I got to do.
Maybe be like the MC of the government,
right?
Just like, but you have to like, as a rule, you have to say something negative about the person and something funny,
right?
You have to you know.
Yeah. And then, if, like when someone says, like in Parliament or whatever it would be, Senate or Congress, and you say something like, and then the minister, da da da, and you roast him, gotta go, well, or get some ice on that, you know, like a roast battle.
The announcer you have like an announcer for the roast battles in Parliament.
Yeah.
With a sick burn for the minister for Ottawa.
Yeah, and then I have a burn for everyone who comes up to the mic. Yeah, the Emperor Zog coming up. He let's just say the Emperor has clothes because we don't want to see how small his dick is.
Not good.
True. Sorry, I went too far.
No, it's fine. No. It's fine. 3 inches? What am I, a horse? Come on.
Dude, I gotta pee. And I think we've covered a lot of ground. 50 minutes. Yeah, we did pretty good.
Yeah.
We can always do sequels and stuff too.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Anything you want to say to the people? Hopefully that they hear this and they don't take the video down.
You know, Mark's a terrorist, and
I know the video's going down.
You should definitely investigate all of the Pulling the Trigger podcast to find all of the evidence of how
you'll find it if you look hard enough
of how Mark Hughes is a terrorist.
Yeah.
And I'll just evidence the fact that he's doing this interview as proof that it's terrorism.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think watch my view count and listener count goes up, and it's all based out of Ottawa. Hey man, I'll take the fucking hits wherever I can get them. You know what I mean? RCMP, CSIS, like, share, and subscribe. None of this watching it and not giving it a like either.
Yeah, at least a dislike.
A dislike is fine.
At least a dislike.
I believe in free speech and freedom of expression. Yeah, we're not in a fascist state yet.
You watch it.
Yeah. So yeah, is that it? You good?
Yeah,
all right.
I'm good. Yeah.
Thomas Zog, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for coming.
All right. Well, that's it, folks. From the Ferrets and me, thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like to help grow the Army, like, share, subscribe, share it with a friend, a family member, an in-law you hate, an in-law you love, Janice in accounting, get fired. Pulling the Trigger will only grow organically, direct word of mouth or inbox or whatever you want to call it. Water cooler talk. Please tell someone. If you'd like to support me financially, you can go to www.subscribestar.com/Mark Hughes Comic. I'm also on PayPal. All that info is in the episode description if you click on the show more, etc. Thank you, and until next time, stay triggered.